The Steelers have agreed to a 2-year, $12.25 million deal with Rico Dowdle. That's according to multiple reports. Dowdle ran for over 1,000 yards despite splitting carries with Chuba Hubbard in Carolina. It was the second straight 1,000-yard season for Dowdle. He spent the first 5 years of his career in Dallas playing for new Steelers head coach Mike McCarthy. Back here joined by our NFL analysts Emery Hunt and Ryan Wilson. Let's start with the news here. Rico Dowdle heading to Pittsburgh. Immediate thoughts, Ryan, when your Steelers gets Dowdle. What is your immediate reaction to this one?
Yeah, we talked about all the Kennys that found new homes today. I was sad to lose Kenneth Gainwell because he was the team MVP last year. He was that important to that team, and he was their best player play in and play out. He signs for 2 years, $7 million. So this is sort of a bargain. This is not a bad consolation prize, 2 years, 12 and change. And I think he's going to pick up, Rico is right where Kenneth left off, and I think he provides that sort of versatility. I'm assuming you made fun of me for doing the bunny quotes. The Aaron Rodgers is coming back, so assuming that. They've had a pretty good day. Michael Pittman Jr., Jamel Dean on the other side of the ball, and now you get Rico Dowdle as the Kenneth Gainwell replacement and save a few pennies on the back end. This seems like a good start. Tough division, all that, but I think there are worse starts to free agency, and I think Rico Dowdle is going to fill that role.
Well, we'll see if Rico Dowdle can run this here ball over them hills. Like Uncle Rico energy. Bring that Uncle Rico energy, right?
I actually love this for Rico Dowdle because I was a big fan of his last year and how we got to learn more about him from a cerebral standpoint and how he thinks in terms of conceptualizing the game. And he called his own play like, hey, I'm going to be open down this sideline if we run this particular pass route. And they ran it. He was wide open, got the touchdown. So I view him as a Kenneth Gainwell plus. The similar skills like you talked about, Ryan. I just like that he comes in with an attitude. You see the consistency there, 2 separate seasons, same numbers. So that's the type of consistency you want. That's what you paid. That's what you bank on. I expect him to do similar things here in Pittsburgh.
Is that something that they might have been missing last season that he's going to add, or is that just replicating in a different package?
Replicating in a different package, a bigger package than what they had in Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell, I joked here during the season that the 3 greatest running backs in history was Jim Brown, DeAndre Swift, and Kenneth Gainwell, because they be balling. Like, I just love the fact that they just get yards. And so you're going to get that with Rico Dowdle. They do a great job of doing the same thing. Now, Dowdle may not help you in a return game, but you may not need him to do that because he's going to be asked to be the bell cow in that offense.
And it's also the Mike McCarthy reunion.
Yeah. So that's right. Going back to 2024, we had the success in Dallas.
And then is there too much to be made of that? I mean, yes, they had success together in Dallas. That's a big connection to bring back there. And
trust is everything.
Yeah.
Coach, I know this guy. I know Bill Parcells used to get a new job, and the first couple of moves he made, go get Vinny Testaverde, go get Richie Anderson, and go get one of them defensive players that he likes. Maurice Carthon. He always get Rams dad. Like, he always got the same 3 guys everywhere he went. So if the coach
pick him up,
you're going to be in. You think about Dan Quinn, who he's always going to bring.
Yeah.
Dante Fowler.
Exactly.
Everywhere he goes.
Yeah. I get that. And I mean, that speaks volumes about the direction of the Steelers offense, whomever the quarterback is.
Yeah, and, Caleb Johnson was 3rd-round pick last year. Shout out to Jordan in the control room trying to talk up Caleb. Caleb didn't have a great rookie season, so he's got to figure that out. But you're not going to put it all on him anyway. You have Jaylen Warren. We know what he can do. This is going to be a running back by committee approach. If Aaron Rodgers is back, bunny ears, he will be the captain of that offense and determine what happens. But he was the biggest Kenneth Gainwell fan, and I think Rico Dowdle will quickly become that for Aaron Rodgers should he be the quarterback, because it's going to take a village for this offense to turn the corner on how things went last year and in that division. All
right, we'll see how it all unfolds. Rico Dowdle to the Steelers. Welcome into Game Day Scoreboard. You are now free to tinker with your NFL rosters. My name is Madeline Burke alongside our CBS NFL analysts Emery Hunt and Ryan Wilson. Guys, the NFL's free agency negotiation period is open. And let's just say it is a good day to run a moving company. Now, while moves cannot be made official until Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern when the new league year begins, teams and free agents are already deep in the deal-making process. And let's start with a big one. The Dolphins informed quarterback Tua Tagovailoa he will be released Wednesday when the new league year begins. Miami still owes Tua $54 million fully guaranteed this season and will carry $99.2 million in dead cap. That is the largest dead cap hit in NFL history. And as the Dolphins move on, so does Tua. Tua reportedly plans to sign a 1-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons, the team going all in on southpaws, as the move will give the Falcons 2 left-handed quarterbacks, Tagovailoa and Michael Penix. So heading into the 2026 season, Emery, I'll start with you on this one. What do you think about the newly imagined Falcons quarterback room.
Well, it gives them a quarterback that can get the football out quickly, gets it out accurately in a short to short intermediate passing game, gives him a chance to be productive on offense. If he's able to stay healthy, I think that's the biggest key for Tua Tagovailoa. And when you talk about a guy that can be pinpoint accurate in a short to quick passing game, that helps you out immediately. Plus, we don't know how healthy Michael Penix is and how quickly he will be ready to go when OTAs happen, minicamp happen, training camp, and let alone the first week of the season. So I like this fit for the Falcons.
I'm with you. And the great news for Tua is that there's no pressure, and it felt like the pressure started to get to him once he signed that big deal. The other thing is he's playing indoors. Every time he goes north, things go sideways for him. And also Kevin Stefanski. And what does Kevin Stefanski do well? Play action and bootlegs. What does Tua do well? Play action and bootlegs. And now it's going to be to Bijan. Now it's going to be to Kyle Pitts, who they franchise. They have some dudes that can play, and this feels like a great situation, much in the same way we saw Russ Wilson a few years ago sign that one-year deal, vet minimum, with the Steelers, and he got up to a pretty hot start that allowed him to sign that other deal last year with the Giants. I think this is great news for Tua. He may not play the entire year, depending on Penix's injury that you talked about there, but I feel like if you put these two guys together, you got a top two quarterback. Now it's just a matter of figuring out who can get the most out of Kevin Stefanski's system.
You said something beautifully, is playing indoors. He's going to have 10 games indoors as an Atlanta Falcon, 8 for himself, and he's going to be playing against the New Orleans Saints as well.
Exactly. Get that indoor football, keeping him safe from the elements. Now, with Tua's exit, the Dolphins had a void to fill. Miami, though, plans to sign former Packers quarterback Malik Willis to a 3-year, $67.5 million deal with $45 million fully guaranteed. Emery, your guy Malik Willis on the move. What's your reaction to him heading to the 305?
I love it because he's trending in the right direction. One thing I like about Malik Willis is Malik Willis, the person. His makeup is outstanding. Spoke with him a couple of years ago when he was a rookie in Tennessee. You could just tell he has great perspective, great understanding of what it takes to be a pro. And we saw the last time in Tennessee, the last preseason, he got better. And then he carried that over to Green Bay. So when he got into the game, has a short stint of filling in for injured Jordan Love. You see right there, the numbers just speak for itself. He improved tremendously in his passing in terms of the accuracy, the layups he was hitting. And on top of that, he's explosive. And when you add an explosive quarterback with an explosive running back, an explosive wide receiver, you might have an explosive offense. I think the Dolphins will be explosive once again.
Explosive. They're going to be lighting it up in the South Florida.
Oh, you about to say South Bay?
Okay, I know, right? You know, we're pivoting. We're correcting here. Another big move, the Raiders making Tyler Linderbaum the highest paid center in NFL history. Former Ravens center has agreed to a 3-year, $81 million deal with $60 million guaranteed to take his talents to Las Vegas. Ryan, with the Raiders set to invest the #1 overall pick in quarterback Fernando Mendoza, barring an act of God, is this surprising to you that they spent big money on the center position?
I don't even know if an act of God could overcome Fernando Mendoza headed to Las Vegas. So they had to reach a floor for the salary cap because they had so much salary cap room. So they had literally money burning a hole in their pockets. Here's the thing. Tyler Linderbaum is making, you see it right here, $9 million more than Creed Humphrey, who was the previously highest paid safety up till about, officially tomorrow. And that tells you how important he's going to be. And the other thing it tells you is this. They are building from the inside out to protect that #1 pick in Fernando Mendoza. They've been incredibly active in free agency. They went out and got Kwity Paye on defense. They got Jalen Naylor on offense. They have Jacoby Dean they just signed, Quay Walker. So they are making a huge move to be competitive in that division, which is already incredibly competitive. And the other thing, the number 14 pick, I would go right back to the well, get another offensive lineman. I'm going to say this until someone changes my mind. I would target Miguel Ioane, the left guard out of Penn State, and just line those guys up to protect Fernando Mendoza because that has to be the future. That has to be the blueprint. Based on what we've seen from the 2023 Texans, the New England Patriots last year. We saw the Commanders do it in 2024. So there's a blueprint to have the success, and this is a good start.
Yeah, if you're going to invest the #1 overall pick in a quarterback, you got to protect that asset right there. Now, another big name on the move, former Buccaneers wide receiver Mike Evans headed to the Bay Area. The 6-time Pro Bowler has reportedly agreed to a 3-year deal with the 49ers. Entering his 13th NFL season, he's coming off an injury-shortened season, Emery. We saw he had that broken collarbone last year, but how does Evans affect this Niners roster?
Does that say 3 American years? Because that's the shocking number of this whole thing.
Right.
We're thinking a 1-year deal, he's going to go off into the sunset, but he's saying I can play for a little bit longer than this 1 year. So him fitting into this offense gives them a guy that can set the pace in terms of the passing game, a guy that can be their reliable option in the passing game, your first read, your first option, zone threat. And again, you have a guy that you're gonna respect on the outside in Mike Evans. You already have that good tight end in George Kittle, great running back, obviously, in Christian McCaffrey. But when you're talking about Mike Evans fitting in his offense, being that bona fide X receiver, that number one go-to guy, I think this helps set the table. He's steady Eddie. He's going to be out there. I think that's why they went with him. Injury last year aside, he's been a rock-solid player, step in, day out, game in, game out. I think that's why this makes sense for San Francisco.
Yeah, he's had over 1,000 receiving yards every season except for last year because he missed half the games. Hopefully that power plant nearby doesn't hamper him with further injuries. But, listen, we'll take the tinfoil hats off there. All right, the Chiefs signing reigning Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker III. Ryan, as our resident draft analyst, one of the first thoughts that crossed my mind when I saw this signing was that, hey, Kenneth Walker III to the Chiefs. I don't know if at 9 Jeremiah Love was going to be a possibility, but how much does this affect Jeremiah Love's draft outlook?
Yeah, so the Chiefs did this. We saw the Saints get a running back as well. Now the question becomes at 8-9, what happens there? Do the Commanders at 7 think about Jeremiah Love? They've added an edge rusher. So this makes things incredibly interesting from the draft perspective. And I think we have 45 days last time I checked. So it is closer than perhaps it feels like. The other thing to keep in mind is this. Isaiah Pacheco is a free agent. Kareem Hunt's a free agent. And I know there's some knocks in terms of Kenneth Walker III staying healthy and his ability to catch passes. He was a better receiver this year, I thought. And when he's healthy, he can carry a team to the Super Bowl. We saw that. Our resident running back would probably agree with that. The other thing is this. They've lacked explosive plays out of the backfield, and Kenneth Walker gives you that. And yards after contact, he's actually better by 1.5 yards than any of the Kansas City Chiefs backs were last year. You're getting Patrick Mahomes healthy back from the ACL. You probably want to ease him into that role because of the knee injury. And what better way than someone like Kenneth Walker III? I love this pick. They have a ton of work to do at wide receiver and in the secondary. But in terms of the running back room, they're right now.
Yeah, you got to run the ball, and especially when you've got some aging pieces coming back, Travis Kelce and all that as well. Now, all of these moves, of course, are agreed upon, but cannot become official until Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. But we've still got to evaluate the deluge of roster moves that we've seen. So, Emery, I'll start with you here. Who made the best move in the first day of the NFL negotiating window?
The Las Vegas Raiders, because of what they've done in terms of strengthening their football team. I've said this since Ben. You have to be strong right down your battery. That center, nose tackle, inside backer, free safety, quarterback, running back. And you look at what they've done today. Tyler Linderbaum, that's your center, that's your pivot position. That's rock solid right there. Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker, both guys can play inside, so you're strong there. And they already have Ashton Genty on the back end, and they're drafting, knock on wood, they're drafting Fernando Mendoza. So they're already off to a great start. Guard, center guard is where offense happens, and I think the Raiders did a great job.
That's a good one, too. And especially, like you said, we talked about this earlier, you got to invest in protecting that number 1 overall pick in what will likely be Fernando Mendoza. Ryan, who's your standout of the day?
If it is not Fernando Mendoza, I'm going to give Emery a haircut like that. That's how.
We're going aerodynamic. If it's not Fernando Mendoza, all 3 of us across the board will do it.
All right, I don't want to put you on. I don't want to put that on you. I'm going to go with Giants punter signing Jordan Stout. I'm just kidding. Shout out to the punters. You're a Giant. You know the Giants well, so you can give us an update on Jordan Stout. But I'm going to go with Michael Pittman, who the Steelers traded for from Indianapolis because they had to pay to get Alec Pierce, make him a higher paid than Jamar Chase. That's the world we're currently living in. But for the Steelers, so they have DK Metcalf. He was the legit number 1 last year, no doubt about it. He missed the last 2 games because of the interaction with the fan in Detroit. And it was quite clear that they didn't have a number 2, probably even a number 3. They're at about 3.5, 4. A lot of those guys are up for free agency. We've got to figure out the quarterback situation. But if you have Michael Pittman Jr., who is going to be 6'2" or bigger, as your number 2, and then DK as your number 1, that's something Aaron Rodgers can work with. Maybe Will Howard, too. So that is a great start once it officially, well, it's been a trade,
but
so it's official.
I see you going Bennett Brower on the Aaron Rodgers. Maybe I'm not a quarterback this season, but they don't have a quarterback or an obvious QB1 right now. Is that, something that gives you pause a little bit?
A little bit. So is Will Howard going to be the guy? We've heard Mike McCarthy talk about how much he loves him, but that's what you say to get the job. Yeah. I watched tape of him. He looks like he could handle it. They're in a Mike Tomlin's biggest, it wasn't so much a feature, it was a bug. The fact that he kept winning 8 or 9 or 10 games every year. They were never in a position to draft anyone top 10. The one time they did in 2019, I think it was, they took Devin Bush. So they've never had an opportunity to get a franchise quarterback. It's okay to hit the reset button every once in a while. So, the Giants got Jackson Dart. and now they appear to be turning the corner.
Well, and they did that late in the first round, too.
Traded
so
back
it shows
up,
that
that's
you
right.
can get that possible late first-round pick. Maybe the Steelers will find a gem in that regard as well. All right, Ryan Wilson, Emery Hunt, thanks so much for the insight. As we take a look at some other notable signings from Monday, Seahawks re-signing wide receiver Rashid Shaheed. The Raiders signing Nakobe Dean with a 3-year, $36 million deal. The deals are getting done on Monday.